We're not going to wait. We're already 10 minutes late. I wanted to start with the theme from... It was written in the announcement. What are the egregors? The systems, the binaries. But I'd still like to make a little introduction about enlightenment. Because everyone is here to see what an enlightened person is, or the one who can be called an enlightened one. First, a simple thing needs to be understood. That neither a worldly man nor his personality or his mind or his clothes can be enlightened. The thing that happens, the process that is called enlightenment, never touches the personality, the person at all. It doesn't even touch his soul. There, in the man himself, there's no extraordinary change. In the case of the maximum enlightenment, of the ones who reach the so-called continuous or permanent enlightenment, not a momentary one, the other thing you need to know is that enlightenment, as commonly imagined, is like that someone got enlightened and remains sitting, glowing all over. Enlightenment can be instantaneous. You can only catch it. You can catch it frequently. And only a real strong devotee remains in that state permanently. But generally, in practice, as far as I've heard of such people or seen them, they've caught no more than a momentary enlightenment, though it can be treated differently. Some say that once you're enlightened, that's all. You're enlightened. I don't think so. Of course, it doesn't mean that you got enlightened, got back from the enlightened, and that there are no benefits for you. And what it is in principle, we can talk about later. What I just wanted to say is that you need to see the difference between the full, complete enlightenment and the momentary one. Practically, what's the greater distance that a person has to travel? The one to momentary enlightenment, how many incarnations of misery it takes, or the way to full enlightenment, which is longer? Hell knows. It's hard to tell. The momentary enlightenment is practically halfway, but what does it really present? It's basically impossible. Even that momentary enlightenment is not possible without that special purity, let's say. I don't want those high-sounding words, spiritual, mental, purity. And what does it mean, purity? What does purity mean? What is not pure in this universe of ours? What's a stumbling block? Where's the dirt that stops it from being enlightened? Is it stress? Stress too. Desires in general. Desires in general. So we say the personality can't become enlightened. The soul can't become enlightened. Then what becomes enlightened? What becomes enlightened is that which some call the monad. Others call it the supreme aspect. To put it simply, that which is the self, the real self. But there is a great paradox, unknowable to the mind, that the self, the real one which is the self, no longer has a form. And surely, what can you tell about an object that has no form? If it has no form, then what are its qualities? Of course, we can say that some feelings are devoid of form. Love, fear, what form do they have? But they have some tangible expressions. You can associate them with some states of mind that are still like taking form. And that which is you, in fact, has no form. That's self. Therefore, only the self can become enlightened. It just becomes another theme. Where are those differences? How is it that the self, the body, their differences? This is a system. Here I'm speaking very briefly. It's only an introduction. Now, it's probably no surprise to anyone, and everyone knows that all that exists is just vibrations. It's no longer any mystique, no longer any religious gibberish or whatever. It's a fact of physics. Your whole body is vibration. The whole body of yours is vibration. Not a single thing is stationary. If we're looking visually, it's very deceptive. Here, everything looks solid, tangible, concrete. But from the point of view of physics, no longer a spiritual, mental, religious one. Physics sees only pulsations here. And what are these pulsations? Nothing is tangible. An eternal flow at any point, wherever you look for yourself, you'll find only pulsation. You are practically intangible. Then what supports, as it appears, that form of you? Now it's commonly known the thought form. The thought, the form, and the will in continuum. That's a separate topic here. Just what do I want to say? What is the self? The self and the body. It is a self in an agitated state. The agitated self. We can talk about the agitated self, and it is agitated by myself, or as the mystics and religions put it, by instilling myself, indeed I, by agitating the self. I create these vibrations which I put on. As they are thickening, all the layers are thickening, and with the thickened layers I create my bodies for myself, roughly speaking. Ask any questions. If anything seems unclear or it looks like I'm talking nonsense, ask questions, okay?